In trading, knowledge is power, and lack of knowledge in what you're doing can be costly, very costly. So you need a solid foundation of quality market education. Whether you're new to trading or a seasoned veteran looking to add advanced strategies to your arsenal, there's always something to learn and something to improve on. And now you can access the same knowledge that professional traders receive with Market Rebellion's Trading Education. I'm Bill Johnson, Head of Options Education here at Market Rebellion, and we've assembled a comprehensive curriculum based on decades of real trading experience, covering everything you need to know about trading options from beginner to advanced. We go way beyond the nuts and bolts of options theory to teach you how to apply specific trading strategies and the techniques needed to adapt your trades when markets shift. Regardless of your goals, you'll gain access to the education you need with easy-to-consume lessons so you can learn to trade with confidence, enhance your knowledge, and master the practical skills required for market success. So please join us for in-depth trading education only from Market Rebellion.
Hey, good afternoon, Market Rebels.
Howdy.
Stu,
Yes.
another busy day in the markets, and we have got more market stuff to talk about here with Coach's Corner, but we're doing kind of a special little, what do you call it, a little preview, I think, of our very soon to be on the 24th and
couple weeks out.
25th
Mhm.
of this month in July
Yeah.
in Riverwalk, Texas. Fabulous, cool little resort spot, but it's just going to be us doing live demonstrations. Very different from our typical Rebel Cons. This is more of a classroom or a workshop.
Yes.
We're going to emphasize interactive demonstrations so that people can actually see a lot of the myths and the misperceptions that they think about how markets work when they really don't. So
And
we're trying to
gonna-
give some
We're going to do our very best to point you in the right direction.
point you in the right direction. And what we're trying to do here in the next few Coaches Corners leading up to that are give you little sound bites, little nuggets here of kind of some of the topics that we're talking about. Now, if you're interested in joining us, again, that'll be July 24th and 25th, Riverwalk, Texas, especially if you can drive near there, super, super easy. But here's our marketrebellion.com page, and right down there is the link for more information about it. So it's easy to get to and find out more about it, but it's going to be a tremendous amount of fun. So with that little preface there, let's head into some chalk talk. The reason for using a vertical spread is to hedge theta. True or false?
Didn't we just kind of hear this one in one of our sessions?
We kind of did.
Little bit of a different spin on it, but yeah, we get this question a lot.
That's why it sounds familiar. We hear it from everybody. In
Hedge
fact,
theta. Hey, theta's
Yep.
the enemy. Let's get rid of
theta's
it.
the enemy. We're going to show you a very different side about what options are really doing and why
Different
it
approach. Yeah.
Yep. Why it appears that theta is the enemy and why it appears that it's accelerating. But one of the myths that people get into is when they have all of these misperceptions, they alter their strategies, right? Because these misperceptions change behavior. So they alter their strategies to now combat these things that aren't even real problems.
And they ultimately may be giving up something that they
And what they were after, and then we're going to talk about that, actually, one of the examples. So hold on to this thought right here. We know that that's a very common explanation that you hear from people. But what Stu and I are going to show you from a professional trading standpoint, options live in what we call strike space.
Mhm.
So that's our question. Strike space, where do options live? And what does this mean when we talk about strike space? We're going to show you a graph that we're sure that probably none of you have ever seen. Very different way of looking at it. Why do we do it this way? Because it is the mathematical reason for every single strategy you've ever heard of or ever done. Now, if you don't understand the math behind it, that's where you're going to get into misperceptions. So let's start off with a little teaser here. Why would you use the following strategies? We're going to run through some basic ones. Here's a long call. So there's our expiration graph in black, current curve, let's say with 30 days to go, might be there in red.
Yep.
So a trader might look at this and say, what? I get limited downside. I have unlimited upside.
Yeah, love that one. Yep.
Okay, and they'll say, well, that's the reason for using it. All right, hold on to that thought. What about a vertical spread? Now traders will spin a story and they'll say, well, I have limited rewards, but I did that to make this much cheaper. It's becoming safer, as if they've got an edge. Here's our current curve, and it sounds like a good story. Oh, and the one that I have sold also will hedge my theta on the long. I've got it figured out. Why? Because the story makes sense.
Or how about this one? I'm creating income to offset the other one, or I'm reducing my cost basis. So
Yep,
that's
making
why
this
I'm
cheap.
doing it.
Yep. So though, again, it's easy to spin a story and to say, well, it's very obvious, and therefore let me continue doing it. So hold on to that thought about the vertical. Here's a butterfly. So there's our expiration graph, looks like kind of like a witch's hat. And then we have the current curve, looks like a bell curve here in red. As time goes on, the red starts getting closer and closer to the black. And traders will say, I got it. If the stock sits still, this red is going to start moving up and it's going to appreciate. We get positive theta. So the reason for doing this strategy is that you think the stock is going to sit still. How do I know that? Because I can see it with my eyes. And that's
Bill,
going to...
you said this is a 30-day graph?
I believe. I don't remember when I actually...
Roughly?
When I shot these. I think it was 30, yeah.
Bill, let me ask you a quick question. What's the chances of 30 days from now, the stock landing exactly at 100 to make my maximum profit?
Can we call it close to zero?
We can. We can
call it very close to zero. In
right?
fact, we're going to talk about that. The bookends for...
See, that's part of the problem, guys. It's like it looks so cool. Well, let me bet 50 cents to make $4.50.
Right.
But when you look at the probability of it, it's
Yeah. Now we're going to show you why a professional might choose this. But for right now, we're just trying to show the YouTube version, let's call it, is, well, it's very obvious. It's because stocks typically stand still more often than not. You'll hear that. And I have positive theta. Time is on my side. So this is going to give me an edge. All right, we'll hold that thought. But now here's another interesting idea. Calendar spread. Well, that looks an awful lot like the one that we just saw. So if the whole reason for creating that strategy was because you think the stock is sitting still, why would they need to create a second version of it? That should be a clue right there. I mean, look at those. Not a big difference. So that can't be the reason to say it's because you think the stock is sitting still, because now the question is, well, why do the calendar over the butterfly? See, there's something missing. Here's a diagonal spread where we have different expirations and different strikes. So we might buy a 6-month $100 call and sell a 1-week 105 call. So Stu, what's kind of the retail version's explanation
of? You hear this a lot. Poor man's covered call.
Poor man's covered call. Now, one of the things that I find interesting about that is they'll say, well, the benefit of doing the diagonal spread, instead of, let's say, paying $100 for the stock, you can pay $30. Look what you're doing for the leverage. But we're going to show you, well, why are you paying $30? The risk had to get compressed somewhere. But the thing that I find interesting, one of the reasons that you're able to pay $30 is because you've piled on some extrinsic value or some time value. So that's evidently the benefit for getting the cheap stock. And then they turn around and say, but it's also not the benefit, which is why I have to sell against it. You're going, well, which is it?
Yeah, pick.
You just said the long position was a benefit because I can get it cheaper. And then you're turning around in that same sentence and saying, but we have to sell against it because it has time value. But it becomes circular. That's the reason you're getting it cheaper. And this is why people head into trouble. So one of the things to understand is that dollars are outputs of a pricing model. All right. And so the one thing we can do to look at is the strike price or the exercise price. So what we're going to do here is instead of saying, oh, I'm just going to use it as a menu and find something I can afford, this price is a reflection of all of this information. So let's put this information across different strikes. That's why we call it strike space. So these are not stock prices. This might be, I think I did it with the stock at 100, but we're looking at a given expiration, let's say July. Here's the July 80 call, the July 85 call, the 90 call, and so on. So these are different strikes, a little different picture than what you're used to seeing. Most of your risk graphs are stock prices.
And the y-axis is your dollars.
The value of that strike, correct, for that expiration. So that's a graph most people have never seen, and yet this is where all strategies are born. So just as an example, if we have the $80 call with a stock at 100, got to be trading for at least 20, a little bit more, and we can see, yeah, just a touch over 20. The $100 call looks like it's trading for maybe 350 or so. The 125 call is getting pretty close to zero. We can see they quickly start getting to zero. That's because these are out of the money.
Yeah.
All right. If we went to more time, we'd have the same shape, but it would have more value out here.
Yeah. Time is money.
Exactly. And volatility is opportunity too. So now let's take a look at how professionals see it. Why would we do the $90 call? What you're saying is not, oh, I get cheaper stock, or I think it's the stock is going up, is that there is a mispricing on that dot right there relative to this entire line. People, I've never heard that. That's right. This is the way a professional would look at it. There has to be an edge, or at least a perceived edge, and it has to be a mispricing of that spot on that curve. All right, so that's one thing to look at. Now, as we'll talk about, if you don't want to get into the magnitude and speed game, we could move this way. That's where you have to understand your strategies. But the basic idea is it's some type of a mispricing on the strike space. Vertical spread. What's the real reason for doing a vertical spread? Not because you're hedging theta, not because it's cheaper. It's because if we do the 90-95 vertical, you're saying that the slope of that line between those two strikes is wrong. It's either too high or too low, which either says we're going to buy the spread or sell the spread, but there's something wrong about the slope of those prices right there.
This is relative to one another. That will show up in your implieds.
It'll show up in your implieds. People don't think to look there because they're saying, oh, I'm hedging theta, therefore I'm a great trader. Nope, you're looking at it the wrong way. Mathematically, this is the reason for snapping these Lego pieces together into the 90-95 vertical. What about a butterfly? You're going to see this stuff starts getting more complicated. If we do the 90-95 100 butterfly, you're saying there is a misalignment, let's call it, between the blue segment and the green.
Just two vertical spreads, everyone.
Two vertical, very good. Well, good luck with that. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it's not, oh, I think the stock is sitting still, let me do a butterfly. That's going to get you hurt. What about a calendar spread? Calendar spread is the same strike, let's say the 100, but different months. So maybe I'm long a 3-month and short a 1 month. So what do we have here? There's our strike space in black. We add more time. This is what I talked about. It shifts that curve out to the blue. A calendar spread at 100, you're saying there is a mispricing between those two slopes.
And again, that'll show up in the implied.
It'll show up in the implieds.
But where people go with it is well, I'm paying 7 for the out month, so
and I can collect 3, and therefore
if I can collect this, and I could do that 4 times in a row, and I'll
have a free money.
And then it's house money, and then I'll own this one for $2 of a credit, and voila.
I got paid. Yeah, we hear all the stories, and we're going to not just say it's our opinion. We're going to allow you to prove it to yourselves. That's what's going to be fun about this class. Let's try the diagonal spread. Talk about complicated. Now we're dealing with 2 different months and 2 different strikes. So you're saying with a diagonal spread that there is a mispricing of this slope in this time frame compared to this slope in this time frame. You better know what you're looking at to make that judgment. Not, oh, I'm getting a covered call for cheaper and I'm getting a better percent return. That makes me a great trader. No, that makes you trading on misperceptions. So
Yeah,
this is the
Bill, in all my years of attending risk meetings with smaller firms or big firms, some of which were not mine, I don't ever remember. Yeah, and we had diagonals all the time, and we were making markets. We had hundreds sometimes of different strikes and expirations go. I don't ever remember the term "poor man's covered call" when we were discussing strategy in the morning risk meeting. We
exactly.
have
They're
a
all
diagonal. You have a calendar. Why? You have to come up with reasons why we have it on.
right.
And it didn't have to do with any of this. It had to do with levels of implied volatility. It had to do with event structure. It had to do with things that are meaningful to the options curvature and the options, how options behave.
Right. It's got nothing to do with all of the stories that the marketing people and the novices who don't know what they are doing. Again, it's easy to get fooled by the eye and say, oh, it's a poor man's covered call. Let's do a seminar in that. No, that's going to get you hurt. So the thing we want you to understand right now is just to realize there's this idea called strike space.
That's it.
And every strategy is built on misalignments, let's call it, in some dimension or another. That's when you're going to start understanding options. So for your decisions, option strategies are bets on the shape, that's the key word, of these distances, slopes, or curvatures, not on the price outcomes. Not, oh, I think the stock is going to 105. Options don't care about that. These are bets on the shape. So that's super important to understand. So let's go back to our chalk talk. The reason for using vertical spread is to hedge theta. True or false? Well, I think we just showed you right there. It's absolutely false. That's a story. We're going to even show you that theta is not even a risk and why you can't even hedge it, even if you think that's what you're doing. A lot of misperception are going to be turned over in Riverwalk. So again, we'd love to have you there. You've got the link there, marketrebellion.com. Scroll down there and you'll see the link. 24th and 25th of this month, July 2026. And so, Stu, I think that's all we have here.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it, and we hope to see you in Riverwalk, and we'll see you then.
For sure.